Hello, everyone. Welcome to another installment of Boring Enterprise Nerdletter Talk. Myself, Elena Perfilova, and my partner, Paul Moderman. We gather around to talk about the stories for the upcoming issue of our Boring Enterprise Nerdletter. So we sometimes have bonus material, sometimes we do not. But this video is actually bonus material for the newsletter because there is only that many words you can put in the newsletter, but we usually have a little bit more to offer in this discussion. So if you read newsletter, watch this video as well. It's might be interesting.
You know what? This is like when they do like a comic book movie, and then after the credits they have the like teaser for the next movie
Yeah.
where the bad guy is revealed. This is where the bad guy is revealed,
Okay.
except it's also the same movie, so it's not quite the same, but you
Yeah.
know.
It's like the director's cut of
Yeah, this is
of newsletter.
the
This is special for DVD and director's commentary.
this is the David Lynch cut of the
Yeah.
newsletter.
We should do also. So next week we should do us reading our own newsletter and then commenting again. That would be like triple dipping, I think. But hey, wildest things happen in YouTube these days. So all right, I'm sure
And then
everyone's
oh
yeah.
God, there's and then we could be like, wow, so insightful. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
oh my God. All right. So I think people are like, enough of this chat. Just get to the boring SAP stuff. All right. So if that's okay with you, Paul, I will go first and share some of my stories. Okay. All right. So the first story of the day is surprisingly SAP Lean IX. Lean IX is something that existed before SAP, and you can even see in this URL that it has not yet been kind of acquired under SAP.com domain. So in short, what LeanIX is, it's a tool for enterprise architects. It's a little bit out of the left field subject for me because I'm not an enterprise architect myself, but I learned about Linux a little bit as part of the SAP Signavio course on OpenSAP that was run a few years ago. So I've been kind of slightly curious, like what's the deal with that, and what do people do with this, and do I need to know something about it? So I dug a little bit into some of the information about it, and I just want to share the results of my short kind of tour into the magical world of where enterprise architects live. It's seems to be very very different world from developers, but since
Mm.
I've gone there, I have some stories to tell about that. So that's a pretty straightforward.
Yeah, that
Paul,
I
yeah,
mean it does like when you say enterprise architects live in a different world, like this, depending on who you talk to, you see that very clearly, right?
yeah,
Sometimes when you talk to like an enterprise architect kind of person, you're like you kind of have this thought in your head of like, and I don't mean to impugn anybody, I'm not being whatever, but like you have this thought of like how long has it been since you've actually done something? And I don't mean like done work, but I mean like done the
yeah.
thing that you're like making a
That we're
Visio
architecting,
diagram for.
yeah,
Like like sometimes I hear folks in that role speak, and I'm like, what was it? What would you say you do here?
yeah,
With the it's yeah. I don't
yeah,
know.
and
I hate to be that guy, but it feels sometimes feels weird.
yeah, and I had to dig in like way beyond this product page. Information here is to be honest not super useful. It's mostly just marketing
Mm.
bumbo and jumbo and kind of get in touch with us. But I was surprised to find some learning materials. There is a course on OpenSAP that I'm gonna link, and there is actually demo environment which surprisingly is pretty good, I would say in general. And I hope that SAP doesn't realize that it's too good and take it away because it's been really helpful to look how to see to see what this thing like what this tool actually look like because
Hmm.
you can read lots of text and you can look at this pictures that show you absolutely nothing about it, but actually opening and seeing it, it's a kind of read only environment, but even that is by a mile better than what SAP has or mostly doesn't even have for other products. So So kind of some nice
Okay,
surprises there.
I do have one other reaction just looking at this page right here, which is like if you think about your typical like enterprise documentation type stuff, when is the last time you ever pulled that up on a screen of some kind and then
Yeah.
smiled?
Yeah.
What is there to smile about a project roadmap or
Yeah.
an integration diagram?
Yeah.
Mostly it's
Yeah.
like putting you to sleep. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's I love these pictures.
And like iPad, like, bro, this guy does not architect for sure. He's like manager of some sort that just approves stuff, maybe.
Bro,
But
do you even architect?
yeah, exactly. Real architect sits there with like two laptops and four screens and yeah, doing this best impression of yeah, that conspiracy theory meme. So yeah, that's a life of architects. All right, so second story subject is so this one is even simpler. This is pretty much yeah, just here is a link that is actually useful. So you guys just go and read it. So less in the last issue, I wrote about the SAP BTP ABAP environment roundtables, which I think are suffering from the bad branding on SAP part. This blog post also, I think, suffers from the title, which I look at it and it's like Compass for Architects. I'm like, it's like immediately skip it. It's like this is going to be marketing schlock, but it's actually almost complete opposite of that. So I don't know. My title is okay. If this was like guys like read this, like super useful materials for architects and developers, I think that would be more accurate. So what this post is, it talks about SAP BTP guidance framework, and I don't want to talk about like framework itself, but there are links for specific guides, and you can see so this is just a list of there is architecture guide, like integration extension architecture, developers guide, and admins guide, which kind of represent, I think, um, the ecosystem of all the different professions that have to live with SAP BTP. So,
Hmm.
kind of
Yeah.
side note when people talk about, oh, I want to do like SAP BTP, where here are like one to like six, five like different professions that do something with it. Which one of them do you want to be? And let me just open developer's guide here. What I like about this unexpectedly is that I think I've seen one of those guides before on another subject. So this is where people can actually contribute. And that is
Mm.
pretty, I think, new, new and groundbreaking
Hmm.
approach for SAP, because before that it was, well, here is our super academically written crap, and you just read it and try to make sense of it. So this is really, I think, helpful when people are invited to contribute and improve these guides and documents.
You should get some kind of brownie points for doing
Yeah,
that too.
yeah,
I don't know whether you do or not. I doubt you do.
yeah. I
But you
mean,
you should
yeah,
get something. You should get like a cake mailed to you from SAP
yeah,
if
yeah,
your thing gets approved to be in the as an addendum or a fix to the guide. Like it's such thankless work and yet utterly completely vital.
yeah.
Because okay, soapbox here or rant box a little bit.
Okay,
Like I've I've
please.
been I've been using I love these deep research tools
Hmm.
that Gemini and Claude and ChatGPT all have their own flavor of deep research. And what is you formulate a question, you kind of give it some guidance, and then our dear pile of GPUs somewhere in data center, they go run like 500 different searches on the internet to go figure out the thing you're trying to figure out. And they are very, very good at this.
Mm,
And whenever I have like an SAP thing where I want some like guidance and direction and like what about this and tell me about this and I give it a couple nuances that I want to kind of figure out for it. Like the whole picture of the answer of that thing is never solely contained in the SAP help stuff, right?
mm,
In other words, like an approach or something that I would want to do that you would think would be like, oh, there should be a thing for that kind
mm,
of maps it out for you. It's like a hodgepodge of like the SAP help random blogs out there, random PDF that ChatGPT found on the internet somewhere, and then like ChatGPT will stitch it together into like a coherent narrative, and then you can like look at the sources that it found and kind of double check if you need to, if you want to, which you
Mm,
should do. Um, but the point is that these documents never give you the whole story. It's only the story. It's only that plus the people who are contributing to it, like on the outer ring,
mm,
the ring of Saturn of that stuff, right?
mm.
Anyway, okay, soapbox over. Mail them a cake when they contribute. That's all. Thank you,
Yeah, yeah. But
and God
right
bless. Yeah.
now, yeah, right now you will have to settle for your tiny picture here that I guess you can put on your LinkedIn profile as, hey, official like SAP guide contributor. So I think in general, guide format is just a move in the right direction. Finally, after, however many
Mm-hmm.
decades of being just producing only super official SAP help documents. And I mean, help documents, they still have their place as official, like documentation for everything that there is, but guide is honestly more practical for those people who actually do stuff, and especially for people who have many responsibilities, like you see, like architect or development
Mm-hmm.
project lead. So for developer who works with, let's say, SAP BTP day in day out, yeah, they can live just with this guide. But for architect or project leads, they would need to read like 500 guides probably to
Yeah.
to do what they do. So that's getting challenging pretty fast. And so that actually good segue to my last but not least story. So this was our issue number 6. So a long time
Whoa!
ago
From
in the
the
in the
ancient
yeah, in
archives.
the galaxy far away. So we did a story. I did a story about the learning frustrations of an SAP developer, and Radoslav did really great job in his blog post, just kind of just spilling out his guts about all this built up and pent up frustrations that SAP developers are dealing with when they try to learn something new. So I keep kind of coming back to this and thinking back about this blog post. So now we're here like several years later. This was, let me see, I think 2022, so more than 3 years later. And I'm kind of still feeling a lot of frustration that Radislav wrote about this here. And one part of it is, I think, so this guide format is great, but there is not yet enough of it. And I think the guides
Mm-hmm.
that are there, and I hope that when people contribute to it, they get maybe better. But they reminded me of how there are guides for the cities, and there are multiple different types. There is like Lonely Planet guides, there are just
Mm-hmm.
really short ones, like here is
Yeah.
a map, and here is just some landmarks. I like, at least I used to like Rick Steves guides, because they were more practical. They were always like written clearly written by someone who has been there, who lived there, who walked the street. And that's the whole point. That's why you're paying for this guidebook. Otherwise, if it's just someone who looked it up online, and I mean everyone can do that. But over time, kind of I find myself frustrated even with with the Rigs guides, because they're really big. And he
Yeah.
even writes in one of them about Italy, for example, that I got when we visited a couple of years ago. And he says, "Yeah, you need to study, be a student to prepare for your trip." Well, I don't want. I kind of don't want to, because, again, there is just so much information. There is a lot, and with city guides, it's at least limited. Okay, I know maybe what city I want to visit, or at least I can narrow down to a few cities. But then it gives you so much information, and I feel like they're also getting a little bit outdated, because when I look at them,
Mm.
I feel like this is kind of boomer guide for this country, because there's some stuff like, why would I need this in like paper book? I can just go there, go and look it up clearly when I'm there. Or like information like arriving into the city. Yeah, I know there is a bus station, train station, but maybe tell me, where do I buy tickets? Like, what are the pitfalls? Most importantly, where can I expect to find trouble, or what did you find like non-intuitive?
Mm-hmm.
Because, for example, we were stuck in Milan. I don't know if anyone lives there or have been there can relate to this. So Italy in general, I have to say, they don't do really well with the signs. So, and it's not just me. I think people who are making fun of it, like Italian signs. I think you can find pictures where like 20 signs on one pole. You cannot make any sense of it. I found that is actually surprisingly true. So weirdly enough, there is a train that goes from like Milan Grand Central Station to the airport. I mean, every tourist probably likely takes that train because
Yeah.
that's how you get their airport is
Yeah.
like out in the boonies. It's
Like
like it's
like
in a different town even.
like if you don't if you don't take that train, you're gonna go from tourist to permanent resident because that's how you get out. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there is a bus or train. That's it. There is no way to get
Yeah.
like I don't know if someone can afford a cab from there, but anyway, but it's there is no sign where the heck the train is, and there are like 20 platforms, and you have no clue whatsoever where it is. And when we happened to be there, the tableau was broken, and dear Rick did not provide any indication of it. In this whole like thick book where he talks about which restaurants to visit, which by the way I I never found that information interesting. Like, why did you pick this restaurant? There are like 500 restaurants,
Hmm.
and like, why exactly this one? I don't get it. And honestly, it's just a very weird recommendation that I don't think anyone knows because the way to find restaurant, you would go to Google Maps and you will be like, okay, what's open near me? Unless it's some place where you make reservations like 3 months in
Yeah.
advance that you
Yeah.
really make a destination. So again, it's kind of finding real practical information that you truly need for everyday use, and not having this information makes your life extremely frustrating. That I think still remains a missing part. And one of those kind of formats that I especially appreciate, and I wrote about it last time about Lars's steampunkification project. And remember, we talked about how useful it is that it says, okay, you used to do this, here is a new way.
Hmm.
That format is extremely helpful. And I honestly think SAP should just do that for pretty much everything. I know
Yeah.
they'll be like, oh, but we have like roadmaps. But the problem is, yeah, there is information. It's disjointed. It's not, the dots are not connected. And
Yeah.
connecting these dots, that's where a lot of frustration comes from. And I think the same could be pretty much created for ABAP Prep,
I,
for lots of SAP functionality and that's just not there right now.
there's a huge difference between like, hey, I gave you all of the information.
Yeah.
Why haven't you figured it out?
Yeah.
And like, hey, I laid out the path for you, right?
Yeah.
Like I Sherpa'd you through this mountain or up the mountain to find the summit in the
Yeah.
safe way. By the way, there's a pile of things under you that's still Mount Everest, but like I got you to the top of it, right?
Yeah.
There's a huge difference between those things.
Yeah.
Um, hey, you should go back, share your screen real quick.
All right.
Because I have two
Sure.
things, two reflections. Um, both one on this and one on the previous one.
Mm.
Um, first of all, this picture is funny to me because this is not like an AI generated picture. This is like a
Yeah.
guy who sat there on a street on a like park bench kind of thing and did like this gesture so that somebody else could take a picture. Meanwhile, there's other people just walking around, right?
Yeah.
So like I don't think I've ever come across like a stock photo shoot in progress on a real city, but that's funny to me that they're like
Yeah.
getting into these broad gestures. But if you go back to the guidance framework, the second tab you have there,
Mm-hmm. This one? Oh, this one.
this
Yep.
one, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like the other reflection I have is that like a lot of times when you talk to people about thinking about doing BTP and stuff like that, they they talk a lot about like what are my license costs going to be and all this kind of
Mm.
stuff. Look at these roles and look at the people you have to either hire or, contract out to do all the things.
Yeah.
Like you need to do a lot more calculation than just license costs, which I know somebody else is doing, but
Mm.
like that like there's like four or five different roles here in these guides.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people power on top of whatever license cost you're doing too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all.
Yeah.
Those are my comments on
Yeah. Funny enough, many customers expect one person to do that. Probably
yeah.
will
Oh my
wait for
God.
one for low salary usually.
Yeah. I mean,
All
I don't.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot to say about that.
Over to you, Paul.
So, so I have two things. Well, I had two things um, to show and do stuff, but like I was doing some prep before we turned on the cameras and did our thing here,
Mhm.
and the first thing I was going to do because which was like a little bit of a callback to you and I did a video on Jules and Jules Studio and stuff
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm.
And I found as I just kind of go through the day, I gather up little things I might want to write about. We both do that, I know.
Yeah.
I had made a little pile of extra Jewel stuff just to kind of think about whatever.
Oh.
And I
Mhm.
and I and I saw a blog post that was like I didn't read it in detail, but I got the title and it like, okay, well, this is somebody talking about maybe some more use cases and more real life whatever. And then I went and read the blog post like 5, 10 minutes before we started, and I was like, oh shit, this isn't that. This is ChatGPT writing about use
Yeah.
cases that are invented out of nowhere. So sometimes I call people out, like SAP Press or whatever, for slop posts. This was just a person, so I don't feel necessarily as much to call like them
Mm.
out. But like, uh, uh, I still my overall thing is apart from what else I'll talk about here too is just in the back in the jewel lane a little bit. Like somebody like paint a bunch of actual pictures here.
Mm.
Like show us the real use cases and people doing that stuff. And this is not coming from like a skeptic. I'm a person who believes in agents
Mm.
probably too much, right?
Yeah.
But like that doesn't mean I still don't want to see people doing it in their own lives and their own professional stuff to see what's going on because that's
Yeah.
going to tell the story, and you need to do it. So everybody out here who's like especially a Jewel Kool-Aid drinker, like you need to be making videos and sharing them like right now of like that actually doing stuff
Yeah.
because people we all need that. People need that. I want to complain slash enjoy it, whatever the case may be. So if you're out there doing that, this is my call to you. Publish it, video it, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing. I was going to share more, but it was full of shit. So, you know. Um, but the other one is just this week, a
Oh
new clean
yeah.
core extensibility guide dropped.
Big news. Yeah.
This is like guys, this is like a new Taylor Swift album, which I think also was announced this week too. So like they're basically the same
Perfect timing.
in terms of like they're competing for media coverage, right?
Great week for both SAP extensibility and Taylor Swift fans. New
Uh,
album just
I can't
dropped.
sleep. I got this paper to read. I got this album to listen to. I need to update my Taylor Swift fan page and my SAP fan page.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what am I gonna do? So uh, even though I can't, even though I only have the one like visual thing to show, there's actually so much here that I could easily write 10 like nerd letter stories just about the things in this document.
Mm.
And there's several different layers to it too, right? Because okay, so um this is the overall new kind of graph picture here.
Mm.
And they have levels A, B, C, and D. Levels A and B are now considered like pretty much clean core. Like, congratulations, you got clean core.
Mm.
There's some distinction there, but like they SAP's sort of guidance is that levels A and B are clean core. What is super, super interesting to me is that in level B, there is this concept of classic SAP stuff,
Mm.
classic ABAP stuff, which means that if you think of what was thought of as like really clean core in the previous kind of guide, there really wasn't room for like classic SAP stuff in there.
Yeah.
What happened here is if you look at, I know the other page number because I've been looking at this so much. This is an example set of clean core items here. It is now the case that
Oh dear Lord.
classic DIN pros are made into they're
Man.
clean core. There's
Wow.
nuance there. That's not the whole answer,
Mm.
right? Because there's still ATC checks and stuff that give you like the recommendations
Yeah.
for like the things to do. obviously, like the one of the things is that in this document is, for example, if your classic DinPro thing is outputting UI,
Mm,
it should be like ALV and not the other stuff you can do.
mm,
Okay, I get it. Surprising to me that WebDinPro like makes the cut back into the beloved world somehow with that.
mm,
Not surprising from the usage standpoint because I know people are still using WebDinPro. Like it's out there. Maybe people aren't like actively going hog wild with it, but there's plenty of stuff that people run on
mm.
WebDinPro still actively in their environments.
Yeah.
And now WebDinPro with the nuances of what the ATC check can do, graduates to what SAP calls clean core
Mm,
now,
mm.
which is kind of wild. So, but going back up to what I was saying though, when I see this stuff about what kind of makes the cut into like a refreshed view of clean core, I actually kind of see like if you sort of fuzz your eyes and look broader, there's almost this like there's just two things. One, I think, is almost like an apology for the earlier version of what clean core was, right? Other words, like, okay, like we get it. Basically everybody's doing Rise or on-prem. Hardly anybody's doing public cloud.
Yeah.
We probably got to reset a little bit of, the our guidance here,
Yeah.
and we got to reset our like because they have extended many of these classic things up into what clean core is, not all, but many. It also represents here. There's specific wording here that I will look for expert. Here we go. The level B, this is the classic APIs. The wording here is because if you think about clean core, a lot of people are like upgrade stability is kind of one of the
Yeah.
things that you want of it, right?
Mm,
These classic APIs and frameworks are upgrade stable and well defined. The upgrade stability is not based on a contract, but on nominations of the respective APIs
mm.
by SP product experts,
Yep.
which is a little bit less than like a contract that says
Mm.
if you do this,
Yeah.
we bless it forever, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, giving the guidance to your customers that puts level B above the fold, above the
Mm-hmm.
horizon,
Mm.
there is an implicit thing in there that says, you know what, you're good, you're probably
Yeah.
good, like
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is good
So,
stuff.
SAP finally endorses Buppies. I guess
Yeah,
that's
and
the
and well, and
tagline. Breaking
between
news.
that's a good point too because between Boppies and let's see, yeah, okay. So again, some of the older Boppies that were not in like the
Mm-hmm.
pure as the driven snow whitelist
Yeah.
of the prior world kind of get like bumped into certain levels of like, okay, you know what, you probably can use that, it's okay.
Mm.
But also there are a pile of things that if you were splitting up your like uh upgrade slash clean core slash transformation, whatever you want to call this
Mm.
thing that you're doing with your S4 environment, into like the old school RICEF acronym, right?
Mm.
The E part of that acronym has a ton of shit that can go in there. There are
Yeah.
a lot of things that customers count as that's in that bucket. And there are a lot of technologies that SAP has made over the years that count as going in that bucket. In the previous world, like the tier one stuff, a ton of the stuff in that bucket did not qualify as
Yeah.
like your pure whatever.
Mm.
By including a wide range of legacy APIs, user exits, which were not in the whitelist before, baddies and established frameworks,
Mm.
you are now sort of like you just put a lot of those things through the car wash and they're clean again,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That is for a customer or somebody who is like helping a customer do things, especially from the Rise or on-prem standpoint, you just got a pretty big blessing from SAP that like
Yeah.
says your job, if you want to like sort of think about the future, here's a pressure release valve on that.
Yeah. Yeah. And there
Um,
and there is an important sentence right next to What you highlight is these technologies are mature, widely adopted, and recognized for not introducing general upgrade issues when users recommend them. Like, well, fucking thank you finally for saying that. I mean, there isn't really any problem with that. So yeah, that's what many people have been trying to say, I think,
Yeah.
since SAP came out with this clean core and did not explain to anyone what it meant in
Because I
practice. So yeah.
Yeah, there's this weird distinction because like old cranky nerds like us like complain about stuff all the
Mm,
time, right?
yeah.
But a lot of times the complaint is not necessarily about the capability of the thing itself, whatever we're
Mm-hmm.
complaining about. It's about the the less clear nature of the guidance and roadmap and possibilities and whatever of that thing coming out of SAP. So in other words, there's two layers. There's the engineering layer of the thing doing what it was designed to do,
Mm,
which as we know and we've seen over the years, even if it looks super weird, it does that. Like it does those things, those user exits. God, it's a nightmare figuring out the right things to do with them. But
mm,
guess what? They do the thing that they say they're going to do. The baddies, it's a nightmare putting it all together, but they do what they say they're going to do. And that's like from some level, that's really good engineering. But then when you get like sort of like a marketing speak or like vision for the future speak wrapped around it, like you've missed the picture a little bit of the solid nature of the things that were there, and people probably should still plan to use now in some way. You probably should consider the code inside those things and maybe like put that through the car wash too and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure that the ATC text that will be released very soon will help you do that. Because I think there's going to be an updated set of ATC checks that will help you sort of categorize things into these buckets. But nevertheless, like you just had a different thing in your life happen
yeah.
because of this guide
Yeah.
here. The unfortunate thing is like there's probably people out there who spent a lot of time, myself included, thinking about things from the previous framework's standpoint,
Mm,
and now there's like an update to it. So there's like I'm glad I invested the time in some way to do that old stuff, but now it's like I have to shift my perspective on this stuff a little
yeah.
bit. But I think for customers, actually, this is this is actually pretty good. This is actually pretty good news, I think. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention from this is, and maybe you're aware of this, and maybe I have just missed this, but I just find it here. Sorry about that.
While you're searching, I've just noticed on that page where we were that for some reason ALV was called like an extension. That's a part that um, I'm not quite sure why SAP does it, and I think um, we had a chat about this before, like how different terms get
Yeah,
reused,
yeah,
abused, or used for different. To me, like if you ask like me as a developer, what is an kind of what qualifies as an extension, or what would you think an extension is? I would be like, okay, you add custom field to a table, or user exit or body. ALV report, I would never ever in my life call it an extension. Yet this guide kind of calls it
yeah,
an extension. I guess it's just for the reasons of classification. I don't know, but this kind of weird use of terminology, I don't know. I'm wondering if it
yeah.
might come back to
And
bite
I think
SAP in the ass eventually.
I think there's probably also like how do I put this? Yeah, there's this legend. I don't even know if it's true or not,
Mm,
but like of the early days of Amazon, maybe even now, I don't know, where in every meeting where Jeff Bezos was like running the show,
mm-hmm,
the legend says and that they would leave a chair empty at the table, and
mm,
that chair represents the customer.
yeah,
Like that's the I don't know if it's true, maybe it is, but like I often think that these guides get written with like not enough attention to the customer's actual perspective
yeah,
and even the partner's actual
yeah,
perspective on this stuff.
yeah,
Because like from SAP's perspective, a customer writing code that
yeah,
like uses ALVs, they might consider, oh yeah, well you extended our solution.
yeah,
But
yeah,
from the
exactly.
customer's perspective, that's not an
It's
extension.
not,
That's
yeah,
me just
exactly.
getting the damn thing I needed
Yeah,
out of your thing, right?
yeah, yeah,
But so the other thing I was going to say is, uh, I had not realized that this was the way things go.
Hmm.
I have never thought of ABAP Cloud
Yeah.
as part of the universe's
No,
SAP
yeah,
build.
yeah, that's a surprise for me too. I mean,
So
why? But
yeah,
I don't know. It's like
especially
one of those like
especially
SAP.
especially too because the term ABAP Cloud gets thrown around in the wrong or in unclear ways too, right? Because sometimes ABAP Cloud means ABAP written with the cloud
Well,
checks on it.
yeah,
And sometimes it means ABAP running in the cloud in BTP on the BTP,
yeah.
like ABAP Cloud stuff, right?
So what's the
And
footnote there? That sorry, Paul.
no, that's okay. The footnote is probably pointing to like some. Here, I should scroll this way. That'd be way faster.
Oh, for
Yeah, yeah. This
okay,
that's the ABAP Cloud documentation. So
okay.
yeah, but yeah. So anyway, that's another one of those things where like to customers and partners, that's super confusing.
Yeah.
And even when I talk to people and I sort of give them my kind of lowdown on what I think clean core is,
Hmm.
I think probably 75% of the people I talk to have had it beaten into them by somebody. That clean core means I yank everything out of my ABAP stack and put it on BTP.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's not what it means.
Yeah.
But like somebody is beating that into people's heads.
Yeah.
Maybe that's SAP sales, I don't know,
That's
right?
SAP for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so you can see how like there's at least 10 stories in this document alone. I'll only do one or two because I really do want to try to find something with Jewel and I want to try to find something with something else. But I have spent enough of my like the last week
Hmm.
looking at this that I just see so many different like lenses on this document here.
Hmm.
Lots of, and you can see too that like the effort, like weird moment of praise for SAP here. The effort that has gone into this is a lot more extensive, I think, than the previous effort in a
Hmm.
good way. Like there's a lot of like notes and other documents that are lined up
Hmm.
in the chain that also got released the same day that are like supporting of this stuff.
Hmm.
There's more clarity here. It takes 50 pages to get to clarity. 50 pages plus other documents. So that sucks. But like there's more clarity here. Oh, well, I've, I'm so sorry, everybody. I've spent so much time talking about this and
No,
thinking
it's
about it, but
it's that's why
there's,
we're here, right? For all the bonus. So someone doesn't like it, just use, one day, three
yeah.
times faster or whatever.
If you
Uh,
don't like it, only share it with 10 of your friends.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Share it with your enemies, and yeah, every business user who sends you, tickets that tells you something doesn't work, send a link to them. We'll give them stern talking to. All right. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for joining us in this August. I've heard is a big vacation time, so Paul and I outfitted ourselves with a summary kind of background. So thank you, everyone, especially if you're taking time from your busy, luxurious European vacation to watch this episode, and so everyone else, just keep grinding, guys. All right, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Take
Bye.
care. Bye.